Hi guys, welcome back to my channel and welcome back to another video. And in today's video I have another project level up update for you, where I'm gonna be sharing with you how my journey went with my latest project level up palette, which is this Dragon Eye by What's Beauty, and you're gonna find out whether I can level up or not. So hopefully you'll be interested in that. In case you're new here, hi, my name's Sasha. I love indie makeup, I love colorful makeup, I love eyeshadows especially. I mean, it's pretty obvious from what I'm wearing. And I just love planning. I just love panning and playing with makeup. So hopefully this video will be for you. And when it comes to the project level up, it's a project that was inspired by Sophie Alexandra. She made this whole project. She created this whole project, and the gist of it is essentially that you're trying to no pen left behind and hit pan on eyeshadows for a specific palette. You can either randomly select a palette using like generators and stuff, or you can just pick the palette yourself. Since I'm doing this for the first year, I'm always picking the palettes myself because I just want to like kind of ease myself into this project. But obviously, you can also just let the fate decide. I'm working on a lot of different projects and a lot of different things, and I'm still reviewing a lot of products. So for me, it will be just too hard right now, but I'm still trying to like make it interesting for you. And I'm currently at level 3, and the rules for this project are, depending on which level you are on, you have to use the entire palette, or like use every single shade in that palette certain amount of times and hit certain amount of pans. So I'm on level 3, so I have to use every single eyeshadow in here 3 times, and I also have to hit 3 pans. So that's kind of what I've been trying to do for the past month. I'm updating this day sooner because tomorrow is gonna be makeup news, so you know, I'm updating this sooner. But as I said, I was working on this Dragon Eye palette by What's Beauty, which has been in my collection for like a year and a half, and it is a beautiful palette. I will pop up a video or a picture, I don't know which one I took, of how it looked like month before, because that's when I rolled it in. And it only had 19 uses, and I mostly used that palette, like I mostly used each shade 5 to 7 times in this palette, so it was still fairly unused, and I wanted to get more uses out of it. Currently, this palette has 27 uses, so I've used it 8 times in the past month, and let me show you how it looks like right now. I think you can definitely see that I was using it quite a lot. I'm definitely having a great time with this palette, and every single time I use this palette, I do remember how much it actually excites me and how incredible this color story is. But let me kind of tell you about a little bit about how many times I've used each of these shades. So first up we have the shade Fly, which is the lightest shade. It's kind of like a duochrome, multichrome, slightly iridescent inner corner highlight. This one had 11 prior uses, and right now we're at 14 uses, so I did use it 3 times, and I've hit my goal of usage. Then next we have Breath, which is this matte kind of rosy peachy tone, and it had 4 uses, and now we're at 7, so I also hit my goal on this one. When it comes to the usage, then the shade Fire, which is beautiful shade. It's kind of like pinky orange peachy shade, and this one had 5 uses, and we added 3 more uses, so we're at 8 uses. Next up we have the shade Spikes, which we started at 4 uses and now we're at 7, and it's a beautiful kind of like dusty pinky purple. Next is Magic, which is this beautiful kind of almost like a gray to purple Multichrome. And Magic, we started at 6 uses and now we're at 9 uses. Last on this row is Powerful, which is this deeper purple. It's a beautiful matte shade, and we started at 3 uses and now we're at 6 uses. Then first up in the bottom row, so we have Creature, which is this like very basic brown matte, and we were at 4 uses and now we're at 7 uses. I actually used it once as a brow shade, mixing it with the deeper brown that we're going to be talking about later on. Then there's Fierce. Fierce was at 8 uses and now it's at 11 uses. And it's just a really interesting kind of almost like a green to gold, but it has almost blue base to it. Like when it kind of flips, you can see underneath all this is kind of like a green blue, which is just such an interesting shade. Then we have Scales, which is a multichrome going from this almost like a forest green to very vibrant purple. And Scales was at 7 uses and now it's at 10 uses. Next up is Myth, which is this incredible multichrome. It has like pink, orange, gold, peach. It has many different flips to it. And Myth had 7 uses. And now we're at 12 uses. I actually used it 5 times. Then we have Smoke, which is the deepest shade, or like one of the deepest shades. It's a very deep brown, almost like a barky brown. This one was at 7 uses and now it's at 10 uses. And last is Monster, which is very beautiful sparkly purple. We started at 3 uses and now we're at 6 uses. So if you've been paying attention, you would notice that I've used all these shades 3 times. The ones that I've used more than that are... Oh, it's actually only the shade Myth, which I used 5 times because I'm kind of trying to hit pan. And you probably also noticed that I don't really have any pans yet. Maybe I have a pan in the shade Fierce. I'm not completely sure because it kind of looks like there is a pan, but also it's hard to tell. So I'm definitely gonna have to use it at least one more time to determine whether there is a pan or if I need to keep using it. But this one is obviously very close. Then the shade Myth that I use the most, I know that there's a pan really close because there is a huge dip and these pans are very, very shallow and very small, so it shouldn't be really that hard. And then the third pan that I'm planning on is either the shade Scales, because this one has a nice dip going as well, but it's a dark shade, so I don't use as much of it per look. So better option would be the shade Magic, because this one also has maybe even bigger dip than the shade Scales, and it's a little bit lighter shade that is probably a lot easier to use. I actually have Magic here, like not in the inner corner, but right next to the inner corner, just like a line, and then kind of blending this shade out into the matte portion of this look. And I also have Scales in the center, because these two are the only ones that I haven't used 3 times, and since I knew I want to update it today and it was only these 2 shades, I just decided to use them for this particular look that is a little bit more like creative and fun. I don't know, I just really love this look. So I wasn't able to hit pans, or maybe 1, but I still have 2 to 3 more to go. But it shouldn't really take that long because shimmers don't really take long to hit pan, and I genuinely don't think that it should take me more than 5 uses to hit pan on all of these. I think the shade Fierce, maybe it's only gonna take 1 use. Myth, also maybe like 1, 2, 3 uses. Magic might be like 5 uses. So we're very, very close. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to use it more because I was also really focusing on my Pendos eyeshadows and Pendos palette and, you know, palette crush of the month and other things. So I didn't have as much time to play with it, but still 8 uses in a month, considering all the other projects and the fact that I was reviewing a lot. I'm still very, very happy with this progress. And because I'm so close to hitting the 3 or 2 remaining pans, I'm gonna roll in level 4 palette, just to, you know, work on something else as well and get some more progress, because if I'm gonna focus on it within like a week, I could actually level up, and then I would have to wait 3 weeks to update this project and pick a palette. So I think it's gonna be better for me to just work on 2 different palettes, and that way I can create the pants here and then hit my usage goal on the second palette, and, you know, work on the pants of that one in the next month, if that makes sense. So we're still gonna be working on this, trying to hit the pants that we need to level up, and simultaneously I'm gonna be using the Beauty Bay Mini Charms palette, which is gonna be my project level 4. And this palette actually has a lot of uses, by the way, because it's my Panda palette for this year, but it's this beautiful 9 pan, and as you can see, it already has 4 bands, so we only have 5 shades left to pan. And since it's project level, since it's level 4, I do have to hit 4 pans. So I think the most strategic option for me would be to use the 3 top shades, because they're the lightest, and these 2 on the sides I can use as my face highlighter as well. And then I think I'm gonna go into this shade, because this is like a blue to purple, and I think I'm gonna be using it more during summer than this shade, which is like a gray to like forest green. So that's kind of my plan, but let me actually share with you a little bit of the statistics and like where we are right now. And I forgot to mention this for the Dragon Eye palette. We started at 116.21 grams, and today when I weighed it, there are 116.10 grams. So I was able to use up 0.11 grams of product, which I think is pretty nice. And then for the mini charms palette, it weighs 64.21 grams right now, and I've currently used this palette 48 times, and for me, I count each use of a palette by looks. So I was able to use this palette for 48 looks, whether it's just in the inner corner or on my cheeks or all over the eyes, like whatever it is. One look is one use of a palette for me. So currently 48 uses. And when it comes to the shades, so this is called Milky Way, the first one, and I've used it 5 times already. So if I'm gonna use it as an inner corner highlight, it shouldn't really take that long to hit the pan. Then we have this shade, which is called Supernova, and I've used it 3 times so far, so this one's gonna be a little bit harder. Then we have this one, which is called Infinity, and I've used that one 6 times, and I do use it a lot as a face highlighter because it's kind of like an orange going to peachy pink, so it just looks beautiful on the face. Then we have Aurora, which I've used 17 times so far, and as you can see, it has a pan. Next up, this one is called Cosmic, and I've used it 13 times, and it has a pan, obviously. Then Eclipse. I've used it 7 times, and it has a pan. Then we have the shade Mystic, which I've only used once in my initial review. Then we have Pluto, which I've used 18 times, and I'm trying to use it up. So I don't know how much I'm gonna be using the shade Infinity. I think I'm first gonna like use up the shade Pluto, because there's very little of it left. So, and it goes away pretty quickly since I'm using it on my cheeks. And then the last shade, called Ethereal, I've only used once, so the same amount as this, but I feel like this one I would use more in the summer than this one, so that's why I chose it as the 4th pan to create. But this is what I'm gonna be working on. I definitely think that by the next update, I'm gonna have the pants in my What's Up Beauty palette, and I should be able to hit my usage goal on all of these. It shouldn't take that long, because 5 of them I use also as face highlighters, not just on my eyes, or I can just use them in the inner corner, obviously. And then for I'm gonna use on my eyes. 3 are a little bit deeper, so I can use them to deepen up. And then 1 is like mid-tone. So, you know, I'm just gonna figure out a look around that. And I think I should have the usage go down by the next update. And then we'll just see when it comes to the pans. But the 3 central shade, or like the central row, it took approximately like 10 uses to hit a pan, but obviously these are light shades that I would also use on my face. So I might have a pan, like one of them maybe next month. We'll see. I'm just gonna try, I'm gonna hope. And yeah, but that's my level 4. Let me know what you think about this palette. I definitely wanted to do like a smaller palette because obviously if I would have to use every single pan 4 times on a palette that has like 20 shades, then it would take me 2 months just to go through all the uses, let alone hitting a pan. So I chose smaller palette, but since it also is a palette that I'm trying to use up this year and it's in my Pendos palettes, it felt like a nice little adventure for me. And I know that technically I'm double dipping, but I don't really care because for me I just want to be successful with my projects, and the more successful I am, the more options I'm gonna have eventually after finishing certain palettes. So in my logic it kind of makes sense, and I do like to do it that way, but obviously I'm not gonna do it every single month like that, since this level 3 was a little bit harder with the Dragon Eye, or like harder, like it was a palette that I have never hit a pan on. I'm just trying to kind of, you know, balance it out with the Beauty Bay palette. But let me know how you're doing with your project level up. I will definitely link Sophie Alexandra down below so that you can get inspired by her. She is amazing at this project and at other projects as well. I love watching her like Pendos eyeshadows, Pendat palette update. Her deck of panning is amazing. Her year of usage also, and she also does the Pendat palette in order, which I definitely want to try that eventually, but I'm still kind of a little chicken about it. Maybe I'm gonna attempt that next year. But yeah, that's like something that I'm playing with. It's like a thought that I've had for a while. Let me know if you would want me to do, if you would want me to focus on it next year. But that's everything for today. Have a wonderful, wonderful day, and I'll be super happy to see you tomorrow with the makeup news. So bye!